And here we are again. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer, which you're aware of if you're watching me on YouTube, because you're on my channel. But you might also be watching on my Facebook ID, either Mobile Geezer or George Hayes. Simulcast all three every week. And we have this little get-together broadcast every week. And I do a live show going over some articles from the last week relating to tech and hopefully interesting to other tech nerds like myself. And every week, if there's a big event, I try to find an article highlighting that, and I go through that article and we talk about things in the comments. Speaking of which, if you're new here, please say hello or say something in the comments and let us know where you're from. But if there isn't any big event, and I'm not aware of any this week, correct me if I'm wrong, I just try to find articles that I think are interesting, maybe you haven't heard everywhere. So every week, and also I you can scan this QR code right here, and it'll take you to my website, which will give you the show notes for tonight's show, which is where we're going to take a look at right now, because every week I take you through the show notes, give you a preview of what we're going to talk about. So if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com and click on today's date, you'll get the show notes just for tonight's show. So I did check to see if Ted was going to join us. I have no message from him. That usually means we have a shot at him joining us. And of course, maybe he will, by some miracle, will jump in. That happens every once in a while. Other than that, you just get me. But let's do a little preview of what we're going to go over. I'm pretty sure everybody's probably aware of the contract dispute between YouTube TV and Disney. And right now, those of us who are YouTube TV subscribers, which I'm a big subscriber, we're not getting the Disney channels. And most of you probably know my absolute favorite sport is Formula One racing. Well, I usually get that on Disney. So it looks like I'm going to miss the Brazilian Grand Prix, which is this weekend. And this will be the first race this year that I haven't seen. But hopefully they'll straighten it out. So the first article deals with that. And I've got an article from Tom's Guide, so we'll check that out. And then I found an article on BGR. ChatGPT not only affects our lifestyle, it also affects our brain. Pretty interesting article, so I just thought that was a good one. Follow that. I know Mike and I are both pretty big Moto fans as far as the budget phones. Moto's 2 2026 budget phones, even though they're 26, they're coming out this month, are coming very soon. Found that on Digital Trends. So I know Mike and I usually get excited about the Moto phones. So we'll take a look at that article. Following that, iOS 26.1 new features, which I do have on my iPhone 17. So we'll just go through the article and tell you what's new in that update. And there's some nice things in there. Next up, the OnePlus 13, which I did not have today. My two phones today, well, I'll tell you about them in a minute. You saw my iPhone 17. That was my backup phone today. We'll talk about my other phone in a minute. But I have an article, OnePlus 13, still the one to beat for 2025. Now, I got the OnePlus 13 in January, I think, when it was released in the U.S. So my phone of the year for last year was the OnePlus Open. I think the OnePlus 13 is going to be my phone of the year for this year. Now, of course, I have probably until next month to decide for sure. But I said still the one to beat for 2025. Got an article on Android Central. And he wrote this specifically because the OnePlus 15 just came out in China and it's coming out here next week. So we'll check that out on Android Central. And then finally, just a quick little story. NVIDIA is a $5 trillion company, says the stock exchange. Found that on CNN Business. So they broke a pretty big goal right there. So those are the stories we're going to go through. And Eleanor's first one in here. Hi to anybody who's coming in here. She said hi to all. Glad to have you here. You're the first one in. And we'll see who else comes in. So there's nothing else new in the comments, so we'll head back to the top. If Ted comes in, I will certainly let you guys know. So, share screen once again. Okay. So, YouTube TV sends email proposal to Disney in an effort to settle the dispute. General proposal or pressure tactic? I think it was more of a pressure tactic. We'll see. But the latest rumors are, right up until today, is that they're very far apart, even right now. So let's go on Tom's Guide and check this out. YouTube TV proposes to reinstate ABC and ESPN as negotiations continue. Here's what we know by Dave LeClaire. Now, they've been updating this. I got it yesterday, but you can see last updated 4 hours ago. Latest updates on YouTube TV versus Disney war. Let's drop it into reader view. I've been favoring the dark reader view lately. Let's see if it comes up okay here. Sometimes the dark reader view works better and the regular one works better, so I always have to check. So, before you cancel YouTube TV because Disney's beloved channels are missing, there is a slight possibility that ABC and YouTube could return. And they keep saying that. All of them keep saying that. At least that's what Google is proposing. YouTube publicly shared an email it sent to Disney leadership regarding the lack of Disney channels, most notably ABC and ESPN, on Google's YouTube TV cable streaming service. And the reason I'm missing my F1 race, ESPN2, is the only one that shows all of the Formula One races all year long with no commercials, no less. So I'm kind of spoiled. This response is in reference to Disney's proposal to restore ABC to YouTube TV subscribers for 24 hours during the election window. So they sent this email before the election from 2 days ago. I don't think they did it, though. I'm not sure. YouTube would like to restore ABC and ESPN while the two companies negotiate, saying, we propose immediately restoring the Disney channels that our customers watch ABC and the ESPN networks while we continue to negotiate. Those are the channels that people watch. I don't think ESPN went for that. We agree that the right priority here is to give customers what they want. So they're trying to put a little pressure, I think, that YouTube in the email. It's a nice way to start an email, but then Google managed to throw a little dig in there. As you know from the many content disputes you've been part of, customers don't want companies fighting and content blackouts. So yeah, that's a pretty good dig. If you agree with our proposal and give us approval, we can get our operational teams together and get these channels live in hours. So yeah, they can get them back pretty quick when they want to. Let us know how you'd like to proceed. YouTube said, Tube, it should say Tube in the email. And they had a dispute 2 years ago, and we didn't have it for a few days. And then when they made their agreement, it was back in a couple of hours. Should Disney agree, it appears that subscribers won't have to wait long to regain access to the two massive channels, but this doesn't seem likely right now. That's true. Since then, internal Disney memos leaked, further showing pessimism about the likelihood of a deal being reached. Like I said, the rumors are they're far apart. YouTube TV continues to insist on receiving preferential terms, this is from Disney, that are below market and has made few concessions, reads the memo. What is YouTube doing? While this seems like an olive branch for Disney and a ray of hope for YouTube TV subscribers on the surface, YouTube is clearly using this post as a negotiation tactic. Yeah, if Disney doesn't agree to bring back ABC and ESPN, it looks like the company withholding channels from YouTube TV subscribers. Everything about this memo screams a tactic to gain leverage. If Disney rejects YouTube's proposal, it will be a win for YouTube TV in the court of public opinion. Well, it doesn't seem to matter whether it is or isn't. It didn't help us subscribers in any way. If Disney accepts, it's a win for YouTube too, as it comes off as the company fighting for its customers to get them what they want, what they didn't do, obviously. Ultimately, these are two giant companies competing for the substantial sums of money, leaving consumers caught in the middle. Any move, even one that benefits consumers, is likely made as a play for leverage in the ongoing negotiations. Neither company wants to give in. Google wants to pay less for Disney channels, and Disney wants more money for its offerings. In the meantime, YouTube TV is offering, get this, $10 off for 6 months as Disney and ESPN remain dark. I don't think anybody's going to care much for that, at least for certain subscribers. And if you're fed up with the whole thing, we have a list of the best YouTube TV alternatives. I'm not going to go over that. Analysis. This dispute hurts YouTube, Disney, and viewers. Yeah, everybody's hurting here. Nobody's benefiting. As this YouTube TV blackout rumbles on, there are no winners. Not only are viewers subscribed to the live TV streaming service losing access to popular channels, but the fallout is going to start impacting YouTube and Disney. Yeah, it's been over a week, and I'm sure they're both losing money. This is a greedy power move by Disney and nothing else. They want you to pay them directly rather than collect from YouTube TV and others. They're working towards a monopoly so they can freely raise prices further. That's Tom's Guide's reader. So that's just one of the readers from this site. For YouTube, if the channels don't return in the foreseeable future, they could start to bleed subscribers as viewers switch to competing services that offer Disney's stable of channels. Sports fans in particular aren't going to be happy to lose access to their team's games in the long term. Yeah, a lot of people are already talking about the fact that all this week's college football games, they're not going to see the ones that are on ESPN, and there's lots of those. So certainly in YouTube's best interest to find a way to strike a deal as soon as possible. However, Disney is also already feeling the heat as this dispute continues, and the data confirms it. ABC Sports reports that Monday Night Football saw a drop in viewers of more than 21%. That's a big drop compared to the same game week last season. An average audience of 16.2 million tuned in to watch the Cardinals beat the Cowboys on Monday, but week 9 of 2024 saw an average of 20.6, so 16.2 versus 20.6. Big drop. Million viewers watching the Chiefs beat the Bucs in overtime. We can't say definitely that this drop in viewership was solely down to YouTube TV being unable to offer access to channels broadcasting the game, and perhaps the Swift-Kelsey factor played a part in last year's That's True. Well, now they're engaged, so I guess people are bored with that. But it's certainly very plausible that these viewing figures are our first indication that the ongoing blackout is starting to bite. Yes, so you can certainly see it. Disney won't be pleased to see a drop in viewership across ESPN and ABC, and football fans who subscribe to YouTube TV likely had to scramble to find alternative means to watch the game. Yeah, I'm not going to pay somebody just for the one race I'm missing so far, but we'll see what happens in the future. It's a no-win situation. Perhaps this drop in viewership will focus minds and get the parties back to the table to thresh out a new deal that sees ABC, ESPN, and more return to YouTube TV. And survey said subscribers are already canceling, but it doesn't really mean much as yet. So just wanted to give you guys the little update that I had on that. And yes, this one's personally affecting me, maybe you also. Now, of course, Eleanor also has a YouTube TV, as I do, and she doesn't watch the sports channel, so I don't think it's going to affect her very much, so that's good. So just wanted you guys to see that. That's our first story. And no Ted, nothing else new in the comments. So we'll head on to our next story. And this one I just found really interesting. ChatGPT not only affects our lifestyle, it also directly affects our brain. I found this on BGR. Is ChatGPT changing how your brain works? And it's by Talia Ropel, and this is from 2 days ago. So let's drop it into review. Okay, let's see. But this one, the black review doesn't work, so let's go to the other one. I think it does work with that one. Yep. Oh, no, wait a minute. Sometimes you've got to do this a couple of times. Let me try it again. And we'll try the dark one once more. Other than that, we will not use reader view. Funny, when I tried it last night, it worked. All right, we won't use reader view. Artificial intelligence has seen a huge surge within just a few years. Apps like Microsoft Copilot promise to help you brainstorm and plan. ChatGPT offers help with homework and professional work. Though some people do not use AI tools based on personal values, others enjoy the efficiency of them. The question is often raised, however, if AI like ChatGPT is making us dumber. More and more research done into the subject seems to be in agreement, yes, it is. Not only is AI making us less intelligent, but it is actually changing how our brain works. Now, that's a scary thought, which could have long-lasting impacts on our ability to learn, solve problems, and think independently. Research points out that not only is this bad for an individual's ability, but also for humanity as a whole. Beyond that, psychological concerns revolve around student use of AI and it being detrimental to their lifelong ability to depend on themselves, tackle their own challenges, and see their own internal worth and ability. And I can see where that could be true. Research has also pointed to AI altering the way humans speak. This surprised me. Commonly used AI words and phrases pop up more and more in human language usage. I never even thought of that, implying that the machine is now teaching the human. In fact, in a very interesting essay writing study, groups that relied more on their own brain showed stronger overall brain performance and health, whereas groups that relied on large language models, AI in other words, showed weaker overall brain performance. How ChatGPT changes how our brain works. A 2025 study currently hosted on the ARXIV, I never heard of that, repository titled Your Brain on ChatGPT, a cumulative, this is all part of the title, Your Brain on ChatGPT, accumulation of cognitive depth when using an AI assistant for essay writing tasks. That's a long title. Meant to find out how using AI like ChatGPT when writing an essay could influence brain function. Study participants were divided into 3 groups, with one group using only their brain to write an essay, a second using internet search engines, and a third using LLM. In other words, they're using full AI. Electroencephalography, I think he said, was used to measure brain activity. So they hooked them up electronically. Of course, 3 sessions of essay writing, the results were consistent. Participants who used only their brains showed strong brain activity. So they're following all this electronically. Those who used search engines showed a moderate level, and LLM participants showed the weakest brain activity. So they obviously the AI is doing much of the work for them. After 3 sessions, the brain-only and LLM-only groups were switched for a 4th and final session. So smart way to do things. Brain to LLM participants displayed enhanced memory and brain activity, whereas the LLM to brain participant showed an underperforming brain. So the more they used AI, the less their brain actually was used for anything. This wasn't the only concerning finding discovered in this study. The LLM users did not feel an ownership connection to their own work. Hope that makes sense. And could not correctly quote the writing in their essays. Well, yeah, if they weren't writing at all. The LLM participants also performed below search engine and brain-only users in terms of language skills, behavioral skills, and neural connection activity and health. AI is depleting human brain power, and even the Google search AI itself is unreliable. Other concerns for how ChatGPT impacts the brain. Linguists studying human language have found that ChatGPT has also influenced the way we speak and write. A research team analyzed over 22 million unscripted words used online and in podcasts. They found that post-ChatGPT, there was a marked increase in words that ChatGPT favors. I would have never thought of that. Specific words pointed out were meticulous, strategically, garner, and surpass. So who would have known ChatGPT favors those words? I wouldn't. The research is hosted on an AI-XIV repository under the title Model Misalignment and Language Change, Traces of AI-Associated Language in Unscripted Spoken English. They like long titles, don't they? It opens up questions about whether the words deemed by AI as good buzzwords will soon dominate language and eventually replace patterns of speech that are unique in each individual. Well, if that happens, that tells you an awful lot of people are letting AI doing the work for them, which probably isn't a good thing. Similar questions, I should say questions, I think, also get brought up in research focused on grade school students and how their cognitive development and critical thinking skills will be negatively impacted by ChatGPT and other AI. Makes sense. Psychology professionals emphasize that it is imperative to teach students some basic brain skills so they are not AI dependent. That would be good. Those include meta-learning, or learning how to efficiently learn new things, being able to adapt to changes and create new pathways in your brain, and high self-efficacy, or the ability to believe in your own skills to become better and overcome obstacles. All told, it's important to make mistakes and learn from them to strengthen the brain, which is something that cannot happen if ChatGPT does all the thinking for students and adults alike. So, very interesting article. And so let's not lean too much on this stuff, folks, even though it can be helpful, I admit. So I thought that was a good one for everybody. Okay, nothing else new in the comments. We will continue. So, as always, if it's just me, it's probably going to be a quick evening. Okay, Moto's 2 2026 budget phones are coming very soon, like this month, actually. Found this on Digital Trends. I didn't even know they were coming out this soon, especially since they're considered 2026 phones. Motorola's new Moto G phones might be the year's best budget surprise. Yeah, they're getting better and better with these budget phones. Meet two new budget phones betting big on entertainment. This is from 3 days ago by Varun, Mirchandani. Okay. Let's see if I can drop this into reader view. Yes. What happened? Motorola has refreshed its most affordable lineup in North America with two new phones. And I believe they're on the website already because I went and took a look yesterday. The Moto G 2026. Oh, no, I went and got the pictures, and both the pictures I took came from the website. So I didn't actually look at the website, but I think they must be there. But they haven't been released as yet in America. The Moto G 2026 and the Moto G Play 2026. Interestingly, both bring premium upgrades for the price. Yeah, there's some pretty good upgrades here for budget phones. Think 6.7-inch 120 hertz displays. That's good. 2-day battery life, 5G connectivity, and AI-powered cameras, all wrapped in familiar Moto styling. While neither phone is trying to be a flagship killer, they seem tailor-made for people who mostly stream, scroll, take casual photos, and just want something reliable without spending $500 plus on a phone. The Moto G gets the fancier camera system and faster charging, while the Moto G Play, and this is the way it always is, focuses on essentials at the lowest price. But both of these are very, very affordable. Pardon me. Here's a closer look at the two phones. Both phones feature a 6.7-inch LCD with a 120 hertz refresh rate, which should make everyday scrolling and watching content feel smoother. And we're all gotten used to 120 hertz phones, so that's great. Motorola says the panel can reach up to 1,000 nits peak brightness, helping with outdoor visibility. Power comes from a 5,200 milliamp battery on both devices. The Moto G supports faster 30-watt charging, while the Moto G Play tops out at 18-watt, offering practical everyday convenience at this price. Yeah, what do you see the prices? The prices are really good. The Moto G gets a 50-megapixel main camera with a dedicated macro lens for close-ups, plus a 32-megapixel front camera for selfies. Pretty good, I think. The Moto G Play keeps things simpler with a 32-megapixel rear shooter and an 8-megapixel selfie camera, but both lean on Motorola's AI features like night vision and portrait mode to improve results. That's good. Both phones run on the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset. While not built for heavy gaming, it should handle routine tasks like streaming, messaging, and social apps comfortably. You also get 4 gigabytes of RAM with RAM Boost, along with micro SD storage expansion on both models. You don't find micro SD storage on many phones these days. Shared extras include stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos, IP52 water resistance, and a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, something else you don't find on many phones these days, making both phones feel practical for daily use. And there's the Play right there. Why this is important. Budget phones are often reduced to a checklist of specs, but the new Moto G and Moto G Play show how far entry-level phones have come. I certainly agree with that. They bring features that used to be reserved for mid-range devices like 120 hertz screens, big batteries, and capable cameras to much more accessible prices. That means you no longer have to spend a lot to get a smooth, reliable, everyday smartphone. They also mark a shift in Motorola's approach, prioritizing long battery life, modern connectivity, and functional design over flashy gimmicks, something many buyers increasingly care about. Smoother daily use, social-ready photos, more future-proof connectivity, and built to last, and even has Gorilla Glass 3. So, why should I care? If you're shopping for an affordable phone that still feels modern, the new Moto G lineup could hit the sweet spot. Both models promise smoother everyday use, thanks to 120 hertz displays, dependable 5G connectivity, and batteries that can comfortably last a couple of days. You'll also get AI-assisted cameras to make casual photography easier, plus durability perks like Gorilla Glass and IP52 splash resistance, so you can't sink it, but still pretty good for budget phones. Reassuring for long-term use. In short, these phones aim to make budget buying feel less like settling. Here comes the prices. Okay, what's next? The Moto G Play 2026 lands first on November 13th, that's next week, while the Moto G 2026 follows on December 11th. Not bad, it's only a few weeks away. They'll be available unlocked and through a wide mix of carriers in the US and Canada. If Moto can keep the prices steady, $169 for the Moto G Play and $199 for the Moto G. I'd say great prices for what you're getting. These could easily become go-to picks for value buyers, especially in a year where prices everywhere have crept upward. So I think that's kind of exciting for those of us who are not only Moto fans, but you're getting a lot more phone in these budget offerings this year. So I just thought that was a good article, and I didn't even know they were coming out so soon. So nothing else new. Continuing on. Oh, and let me stop screen for a minute. I should show you the other phone. Last week I told you guys about the Unihertz Titan 2 with the real physical keyboard. And as I told you, I never had a BlackBerry. This is going to be the closest thing to the BlackBerry Passport, according to what everybody has told me. And now I've used this thing for 3 days, and it's a nice, oh yeah, and it even has a little screen on the back. You can see the clock there. And you should be able to actually see the clock moving, I think. It was moving before, but before it showed me it move. Anyway, as the back screen, of course, there's the cameras there. But so far, I'm loving the phone. I'm slowly getting used to having a physical keyboard. I've never had a physical keyboard on a smartphone before. So this is still on pre-order for $379.99. So if you go to the Unihertz website, you'll see it. And here's Renz. Renz, good to have you here, brother. I know you're at work. He says he's been busy. Yeah. You know, we're always glad to see you. So thanks for stopping by. This is my latest phone, the Unihertz Titan 2 physical keyboard, closest thing you're going to get to a BlackBerry Passport. So I'm told. I never had a BlackBerry. That's why I got this one. I was one of the early backers, and I got it for $269, I think. But now it's on pre-order on the Unihertz Titan 2 website for $379. And when it comes off pre-order, it'll be $399. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. They had some bugs before I got mine, but they were very quick to send an update, and the bugs seem to be pretty much worked out. If you go to the Unihertz Titan 2 Facebook group, you can follow along and see people still receiving theirs in different parts of the world, and you'll see some people that Ren says, looks like a BlackBerry Passport, but that's super bulky. Yeah, it is very bulky. There have been already a couple of ladies that got theirs, because we all got this from Kickstarter, those of us that have it already. And there's a couple of ladies already said, no, it's too big for me. They had to go sell theirs. But I'm liking it. It just fits in my pocket very nicely. I don't stick my phones in my back pocket. But I couldn't put it in the shirt pocket, that's for sure, but it does fit in my pants pocket very nicely. And I'm liking it very much. Like I said, I've never had a physical keyboard on a smartphone before, so this is new to me. But yes, I would recommend it, especially for $379. So like I said, if you go to the Unihertz, Unihertz Titan 2 website, you can go check it out for yourself. So just wanted to let you guys know that I am enjoying it and I am using it, or I have used it 3 days in a row. So, on to our next story. Hit the wrong button. Let's try it again. Okay, share screen. Okay. iOS 26.1, new features. Found this on Tom's Guide, and yes, I do have that already on my iPhone 17. So just go over what the features are. iOS 26.1 is here with 7 big boosts you need to know about. I wouldn't call them big boosts, but they're nice features by Scott Yonker, and this was published November 3rd. Many quality of life improvements, including a liquid glass toggle. And I've showed you guys the liquid glass before and how you can readjust, but now we can adjust a little bit more, which you'll see in here. Let's drop into reader view. Apple's first update for iOS 26 has finally landed after a few perturbations, and anyone can now download iOS 26.1 on compatible iPhones. Yeah, I got mine last weekend, I believe. Last month's iOS 26 release overhauled the aesthetics of the company's iPhone software with the introduction of liquid glass. Pardon me. However, as with last year's iOS 18, not every announced feature was available right away. Some of those capabilities are now part of iOS 26.1, while other additions look to fine-tune existing tools. Here's what you can expect when you install this latest update. And I'm enjoying this okay so far. Alarm controls. In the iOS 26 clock app, both the snooze and turning off the alarm buttons were simple taps, which could be confused. iOS 26.1 changes it to a swipe on the screen icon to stop the alarm. The snooze still requires a tap, so a little bit less confusing, I guess. This should be helpful for those who accidentally stopped alarms when they meant to snooze, and that's true. That'll make you late for work. It could also help you wake up faster since you need to focus on the swipe to actually turn it off. Note that this doesn't affect how timers work in iOS 26, a source of some complaints, including from people in the Tom's Guide office. So I haven't used the timers, so I don't even know what the problems are. Pardon me. Camera controls and photo app options. iOS 26.1 brings a new lock screen swipe to open camera toggle in the settings. Enabling this will let you swipe on the lock screen to quickly access the camera. Let's see if I can show you that. I think I can. All right, there's the lock screen. Let's see. No. I actually did this yesterday, but not getting to work now. Okay, let's see. This feature, several ways to access the game. Ability to turn off the swipe feature gives you option to avoid turning your camera on with an accidental swipe. But I've forgotten how to do it. But anyway, it does work. I actually checked it yesterday. So, customizable fitness app workout plans. And you guys know most of my exercises on bicycles. I haven't done this, but I guess it's good. The Apple Fitness app will now let you create your own custom workouts. You can select options based on the workout type, effort, estimated active calories, duration, and start time. So if I get a chance, I will try that out. Gesture controls in Apple Music, and I never use Apple Music. So Apple Music has a new feature that should be helpful when you're not feeling the current track. Now you can swipe across the mini player to skip to the next or previous song. The picture show that. Okay. Right. The MIDI player appears at the bottom of the music app to show you the current song that's playing. Swiping left advances the song, while swiping right takes you back to the last song. That's why I said nothing earth-shaking here, just pleasant stuff that's a little helpful, I guess. New language support in Apple Intelligence. And we say as little about Apple Intelligence as we can. Apple Intelligence won't get the big Siri update until spring next year. Yeah, we'll believe it when we see it. But with iOS 26.1, phones that support Apple's AI tools gain support from more languages. In total, Apple's AI is now available in Chinese, Dutch, Danish, Norwegian, Portuguese, Swedish, Turkish, and Vietnamese. Additionally, the Apple AirPod Live Translation feature adds support for Chinese, Mandarin, Italian, Japanese, and Korean. That goes along with the launch support for English, French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish. And finally, you get a liquid glass toggle, and I did try this out, and it's real easy. And I showed you the toggle before, the liquid glass before, but yes, it's easy to toggle it a little bit. The new liquid glass aesthetic has been controversial. It doesn't bother me, but it seems to bother some people. Even if it is slowly growing on some people, Apple has introduced a surprising amount of customization to the design. Anytime Apple lets you customize across, it's surprising. But they're getting better. I have to give them that. iOS 26.1 includes a new toggle that lets you change the opacity of liquid glass from clear, the defaults there, to tinted. I've tried it to tinted, and I didn't particularly like it, but yeah, it's easy to do. You can find this under Settings, Display, and Brightness, Liquid Glass. Smaller updates. Alongside rebranding Apple TV Plus as just Apple TV, the Tech Giant streaming service also gets a new icon and TV bumper. For those counting at home, there are now 3 products named Apple TV: the streaming service, the streaming device, and the app. Could get confusing, I would think. Speaking of redesigns, iOS 26.1 adds a redesigned tab bar in the Safari app to make it wider and a bit rounder. On the security front, there is now an option to automatically install background security improvements. Yeah, I've already turned that on. There are small updates that provide instructions between major software updates. You need to turn it on, blah, blah, blah. So, and I've already done that. So just some nice feature updates that they've done. So just to let you guys know about it. And Ted is saying hi. Said hi to Renz. Okay, and I gather Ted is not going to be. Even the good stream so far, even though I can't make it. Okay, so he's out in Dallas, so he's probably out and about. And anyway, glad you dropped in, Ted. So, next up. Oh, I forgot about the alarm controls. Almost got out of this one. All right, alarm controls. Oh, wait, I already went through all of this. Yeah, I was done with that. Okay, just wanted to make sure you guys saw that. I think I've got about 2 left. Yep, 2 left. Okay, let me get a swig of Coke. Okay, I didn't have my OnePlus 13 with me today, but I totally agree with everything in this article. OnePlus 13 still the one to beat for 2025. It's on Android Central. The OnePlus 15 is out in China and coming out here next week. This was good timing for this article. 1 year with the OnePlus 13, standing out for all the right reasons. And written by Jana Lagada. I think all the years I've been following them, I learned how to say his name by now. The OnePlus 13 continues to be one of the fastest phones today, and it's even better with Oxygen OS 16, which mine does have. So let's drop into review. The OnePlus 13 was a turning point with the Chinese manufacturer. Although OnePlus made phones for a decade, there was always a sense that its camera prowess wasn't up to scratch, at least against its Chinese rivals in Google. That narrative changed with the OnePlus 13. I totally agree. With the device able to deliver standout cameras with the same versatility as the Vivo X200 and other phones in this category. And it started getting better with the OnePlus 12, which I still have, but the OnePlus 13 really got it right, I think. I'm still a little miffed that we didn't get a Pro version, much less an Ultra model, but it's a good thing that OnePlus focused on a single device, and it isn't like the OnePlus 13 misses out on much. True. I started using the phone in December 2024, so he had it before it officially came out in the US. He is in India, so that's probably why. And tested it extensively at launch. While I didn't review the device at the time, I used it quite a bit throughout the course of 2025, switching to it intermittently. With the OnePlus 15 now available in China and global launch on November 13, it's time to take a look at how the OnePlus 13 holds up nearly a year after its debut to see where it has an edge and where it doesn't quite manage to measure up any longer. One of the best designs of 2025, completely agree. And yes, that's the same one I had, the same color one I had. I'll admit that I wasn't a fan of the design when I saw the renders of the OnePlus 13. I've always liked the designs of the OnePlus phones in the past, and I felt that the manufacturer was veering away from its design ethos in an effort to stand out. Thankfully, it turned out to be a non-issue. The OnePlus 13 still feels good in hand, and even though it has a flat design, I love the flat design. The subtle bevels ensure the sides don't dig into your palm. Because I have the 12 and 13, the 12 is a little bit curved on the sides. I think the flat design is much better. And Ren is still being kind. Okay. Thank you, Ren. As always, you're very kind, sir. I know you're busy at work. Let's see. Ren said, regarding about AI, even we opted out. Our phones and tablets still runs on the background, and here's our conversations. I don't like it, but we are moving forward with it, and most apps have it. That's true. It goes back to the AI story. But sorry, I just saw that, Renz. Thank you, as always, for your donations. Always appreciated. Okay. The weight balance is ideal, and the unique leather back continues to be one of my favorite features on the phone. I completely agree. The leather is softer and has a better texture than regular leatherback phones, and after nearly a year of use, it continues to look great. The blue model is still my recommendation, mine too. I don't see any issues with the build quality, even a dozen or so with build quality, even with a dozen or so tonals. That's pretty good. And the fact that the rear panel has leather instead of glass also makes a difference in this area. What's notable is that the custom glass layer at the front did an admirable job. I don't use a case with my phones, so it's good to see the device come away unscathed after long-term use. That's great. Similarly, I had no problems using it outdoors during India's monsoon season. That's also good. With IP68 and IP69 water resistance clearly up to the task. That's very good. Hardware with plenty of power left. The 6.82-inch AMOLED panel continues to be one of the best around. It has excellent colors, good brightness levels, and doesn't have any issues with HDR content. There really isn't much to talk about here other than to say that the green line issue that plagued devices in the past just wasn't a problem. I didn't even know about that, but yeah, I've had no problems at all with mine. Honestly, I can say the same about the hardware. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is an absolute powerhouse, and I still feel that it isn't being used to its full potential. You just don't have that caliber of games on Android. We've seen manufacturers go to great lengths in recent years to tout lag-free use after several years, and to me, that makes the biggest difference with these kinds of phones. Sure, any phone is undoubtedly fast when you start using it, unless you have Samsung's A series devices. That's very true. But the real test is after a year or two when things inevitably start slowing down. Thankfully, this isn't an issue on the OnePlus 13. That's absolutely true. And the phone feels just as fluid as the day I set it up, and so does mine. The OnePlus says the phone will be fast even after 4 years of use, and I don't doubt those claims. I recently booted up the OnePlus 8T, so that's an old phone, to test it out for a while, and it held up astonishingly well. Battery life has been consistent too. I still get a day's worth out of the device, me too, and there isn't any noticeable battery degradation. I agree. Of course, the use of silicon carbon battery tech means the OnePlus 13 should have better longevity than earlier models, and I'll be putting that to the test by reevaluating the phone next year. It's good. As it stands, the battery is just as reliable, and I like that I can easily charge the device with any USB PD charger at 50 watts. Oxygen OS 16 gives a much needed software boost. I'm trying to remember when I got the 16 update. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. The OnePlus 13 landed with Oxygen OS 15, and it just got the update to Android 16 based Oxygen OS 16. The update introduces a brand new UI with translucent effects. Yeah, it's trying very much to look like the iPhone. And it has better cohesion and increased fluidity. While I'm still not enthused about the UI looking so similar to iOS 26 yet, I'll admit that it is better than Oxygen OS 15. The software update injects freshness and additional fluidity and makes the device that much better. You get a decent number of new features as well. And while there's now a split notification pane, you can use the older unified style. OnePlus 13 a year later, still going strong. Just because the OnePlus 15 is launching doesn't make the OnePlus 13 any less of a phone. If anything, the Oxygen OS 16 update allows it to stand out even more, and the OnePlus 13 continues to be one of the best OnePlus phone you can buy today. I completely agree. This is where things have meaningfully changed in recent years. Flagships are designed to last 4 years or more, and if you don't immediately need the latest tech or the best camera innovations, there are considerable savings to be had by buying last year's devices. Switching to the OnePlus 13 after using the Vivo X300 Pro, I didn't notice any sizable difference in fluidity or usability in general, and I get the feeling that the phone will continue to be that way for the foreseeable future. So I totally agree with everything he said. And like I said, next month I'll pick my phone of the year, but that's probably going to be it. So, good article. But nothing else new, so we're going to my last story. This should be a quick one. NVIDIA is a $5 trillion company, says Stock Exchange. Found this on CNN Business. I just thought it was interesting that they hit this milestone. The world's most valuable company just blew through an unprecedented milestone. That's true. Written by Claire Duffy, October 29th. Let's drop into review. Okay. NVIDIA just became the world's first $5 trillion company. Unprecedented demand for the company's AI chips has propelled the company's market valuation into the stratosphere, that's for sure. The milestone, which NVIDIA released at Wednesday's open, this would have been, more than a week ago, comes just 3 months after the company crossed the $4 trillion mark, so it's moving up fast. It took NVIDIA about 13 months to go from 3 trillion to 4 trillion. I remember when that happened too. The company's shares rose 3% after the market opened on Wednesday. NVIDIA stock has gained about 50% in 2025. That's a big jump. and has been near or at the top of the S&P 500's best performing stocks for years as investment in artificial intelligence continues to fuel the chip maker's meteoric rise. Boosting NVIDIA stock Wednesday, hopes for discussions between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader, and they had that discussion, Xi Jinping, that opened up China's market to NVIDIA's high-end AI chips. On Tuesday, NVIDIA stock rose after CEO Jensen Huang presented a vision of NVIDIA's future in which the company's chips would be placed in everything from cell phone towers to robotic factories to self-driving cars. Huang said in his first ever keynote address at the company's GTC AI conference in Washington on Tuesday was effusive in his praise for Trump. NVIDIA's AI chips are essential to powering the data centers that run the technology. The company is central to the AI boom, not just because of those chips that are making it tons of money, but also because of the investments it's pouring into other major players. Now get this, on Tuesday, another tech giant, Apple, breached the $4 trillion benchmark. It's a sign that the iPhone is still enough to excite consumers in Wall Street, even as the company has fallen behind in the AI race, you think? Meanwhile, NVIDIA and AI leader OpenAI recently announced a major new tie-up, now get this, which will have the ChatGPT maker purchase billions of dollars worth of chips in exchange for $100 billion investment from NVIDIA. Some people are not so sure what they're doing here is particularly legal because they're just passing money back and forth. And the SEC isn't crazy about when companies start doing this. So I say they're right on the edge of legality with these deals. NVIDIA also announced a $5 billion investment in the leader chip maker Intel. Yeah, they certainly need the help. But the circular spending, and that's what it is, it's nothing but circular spending, especially between NVIDIA and OpenAI, paired with the industry's eye-popping growth rates and the lack of clarity around the return on AI investments, has raised concerns that the AI market may be a bubble waiting to burst. And there are now tons of videos weekly about the bubble getting ready to burst. So people are expecting it. Still, NVIDIA executives said during the company's August earnings call that it estimates it will benefit from as much as $4 trillion in AI infrastructure spending by the end of the decade. In the most recent quarter, get this, NVIDIA raked in nearly $26 billion in net income. That's just in one quarter. So NVIDIA is doing quite well, even though they're skirting legality, I think, a bit with their deals with OpenAI. So it's interesting. So that's it for tonight, folks. That's all I've got. I hope you found the stories interesting, and it's almost 9 o'clock, so pretty good night for them. It was just me. So as always, I hope you guys have a blessed weekend and have a very blessed week. And as I always say, let's always remember we all do better when we love each other. So come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Good night, folks.